Hi guys, Tom Fearon here, PGA golf professional down at Trafford Golf Centre, and today I've teamed up with American Golf to bring you the full golf swing guide. Whether you're a beginner or whether you've been playing golf for a long time, we're going to clean up your fundamentals by doing your grip, your setup, backswing, downswing, and finally that finished position to make you look like a pro and make you play better. Right then everybody, first and foremost is the grip, and that's how we're going to hold the golf club, and really it's the most important thing because it controls the club face, and that's going to control the direction which your golf ball is going to go. So if our grip is wrong, we may leave the club face open and it's going to go right for the right-handed golfer, and if it's closed it's going to go left for the right-handed golfer. So we want to make sure we give this the best chance to come back neutral into the golf ball. So the way we're going to do that is, as you can see here, what I've drawn is I've got a line up the fingers of my golf glove, and the reason being is because a big mistake I see is people letting this golf club sit in the palm of their hand under this pad of the thumb, and that's just going to really create a lack of flexibility and a lack of control in the golf swing. So you could do this at home. You can draw a line up the fingers, and then that's just going to give me a guide on where to place this golf club. Now, very importantly, that you've got the golf club facing straight when you do this setup. So if you were to hold it up in front of you, you've got the toe pointing up to the sky at a straight line here, because then we know it's not going to be open or closed at address. So from there, you're going to just wrap your fingers around, and as you can see, that's not sitting anywhere near this pad of my thumb looking from that angle. And then from there, I'm just going to place my thumb over slightly on the right side of the grip. The next thing I'm going to look out for is this V shape I now create between my thumb and finger is pointing up towards the right shoulder. If that's too far over, we'll see it pointing outside my body. And if I've got my thumb straight down the grip, that V is pointing up to my left shoulder. So if we just place fingers down the line, wrap the hand and place the thumb, I've now got that V pointing up here. Next, we're going to place the right hand. And if you've done the left hand correctly, the right hand becomes a lot easier, because this little crevice we've got in the palm of your hand there, in between the pad of the thumb and your little finger pad, that can just place onto the thumb of your next hand. So we're going to bring your right hand in and place it there like so. From there, if we just wrap the fingers and then place the thumb, and the thumb of my glove hand sits nicely into my right hand. Now what we should also see again is this V is also pointing up towards our right shoulder, and if I look down, we can see from my angle here holding the club up, I've got two knuckles on my left hand, I can see two knuckles on my right hand, and both these are pointing to the right side of my body, my right chest or right shoulder. We're all then set. There's only one other thing to manage from there, and that is whether you're going to do a 10-finger hold, which is as so, where we've got all of our fingers lined up. I could then do an overlap grip, which is where I put my little finger over the top of the index finger on the glove, or finally, I can just slightly interlock them. Now, those three options, that's completely your preference. That's to do with comfort, that's to do with what works best. But what's important is what you can see from that angle there. Right then, so we've got the perfect grip, and if you haven't got the perfect grip yet, then just go back one video and you'll be able to see exactly how we should be holding this club. And it's quite important for your setup as well, with the stance that we're going to try and adopt now. The main reason for the way we stand to a golf ball is we want to look for stability, we want to look for power, and we want to look for some efficiency. So width of stance is quite important. If I go too wide in my stance, I've got lots of stability here. It'd be very hard to come and push me over. However, I'm very limited in rotation. I can't really turn. And then opposite to that, if I go really close with my feet, I've got some good mobility in rotation, but very unstable. So I'll be rocking side to side. As a good rule of thumb, I want you to go shoulder width apart. I kind of say middle of your shoulders to the instep of your shoes there. So although that could be shoulder width apart, that's quite narrow. Middle of your shoulders to the insteps of your shoes. And once we've got that, something people find really difficult is how far should I be standing from the golf ball? So as we look from a down the line view there, we don't ever want to be standing to a point where our arms are out diagonally like this. We don't want to be reaching for the golf ball, and we also don't want to be too far over. Very rarely do I see somebody leaning too far over. So the way I want you to get into your setup is you can put your club down for a second. You're going to get that nice width of stance, and you're going to have fairly soft knees. And a golf setup can be different to a lot of things. It feels very strange because we're going to push our hips and stick our bum out, and that makes us hinge from our hip position here rather than just leaning over from our back. Now, we want to get to the point where our arms will just hang. So if I lean over, you see my arms have started slightly hanging, but still quite close to my legs. And I go a little bit more, and that feels just about right. So we can see now my arms are dangling straight down below my shoulders, exactly how we want it. We never want to be standing up too straight. Now you can see that angle starting to create in my arms. We want to stay well away from that. Finally, once we've got that set up, we want to make sure that our weight distribution is neither back in our heels or forward in our toes. So we want to make sure that's right in the center of those feet. As we push your hips back, you might find yourself going into your heels. You might then want to just rock forward to get into your toes. Remember, with those arms hanging. Once we're set up there, we are now ready to swing. Ball position wise, the final part of the setup is where you should have this in your stance. So looking face on there with a pitching wedge, 9-iron and 8-iron, I would expect you to have the golf ball right in the middle of your stance, as you can see there. And then for every golf club up the set towards your driver, that ball will just nudge half a ball forward per club. I've got a 6-iron in my hand today, so it's going to be just in front of the middle. If I draw a straight line back from that golf ball, it's just on the front third of my stance. I'm going to get that with the stance nice and stable. Push the bum back, tilt from the hips, arms hang straight down, and then I'm ready to go into the swing. Nice and balanced to finish. And there we have it, a nice balanced setup, which creates a nice balanced swing. So this is where the golf swing can start to feel a little more difficult, because it's the part where we've got to start moving. We've got the grip set and we're standing very well to the golf ball just how we want, but a golf swing can be ruined very early on in the swing depending on where I take this club, and it's an important journey to get the head of the golf club from there up to the top of my swing to make sure I'm in a good position. What we want to make sure we do is that we don't start leaning side to side, we don't move from left to right, and also make sure from this angle back here that the club doesn't lift up out away from my body, and also the club doesn't come down inside my body. So we've got to be quite particular with this. I'm going to make it as simple as I possibly can for you now though. There are pretty much two movements in the backswing. One of them is a rotation, and that's my hips and shoulders rotating away from the golf ball, and the other one is a lift of the arms. Now, those done separately are going to look very strange. If I just lift my arms away from me there, that looks nothing like a golf swing. And again, if I just rotate my shoulders and hips away, that also looks nothing like a golf swing. If I can do two of them together, and I'm just going to slightly set the wrists as well. This is a very important part for the beginner golfers. I see big mistakes. So as I come back, it's just a very slight set of the wrists. And by set, what I mean is this little hinge here, just a pickup of the golf club. Stage one of the backswing is just going to be to there, slight set of the wrist. And what I've done is I've rotated my shoulders away at the same time as I've picked the club up slightly. Once I get to there, I can just keep going. It's just a rotation of the shoulders, and my left arm pretty much slides up my chest. If we can make it that simple, and we could just set and turn, we're going to be in a pretty good position. If you notice there, the main important thing is that I haven't moved sideways. We want to imagine I'm in a box or a tube, and I've got to stay within that. So let's have a swing at that. Let's see if I can stay over the golf ball, set the wrists, and twist up. And there you have it, nice backswing, and that's just ensured that I can come back down on the golf ball. So now we're at the top of the backswing. We're up here, we're in a really powerful position. We've done that well. What next? Well, the problem I see a lot of the time is people making compensations. They will throw the club away over here, or they will lean back trying to lift that golf ball up. That's probably the most obvious one I see. People all of the time feeling like they've got to lift that golf ball up in the air. You've got a golf club in your hand, and every single one of those clubs has loft on it. It points up in the air for you. It's your job to hit it forward. It's the golf club's job to hit it upwards. So don't you worry about that. I don't want you leaning back. Problem is with leaning back is you will hit the mat behind the ball or the grass behind the ball a lot of the time. Alternatively, you'll have the leading edge of your club here hitting the top of the golf ball. So we've seen the last video. We've got a good grip, good setup, and we are in a perfect position at the top of your golf swing. You can see there that my body is wound up and my weight is slightly on the right side, just on the instep of my right shoe. From there then, all I need to do is rotate and unwind my body. But what I've got to do before that is make sure that my weight just very slightly shifts over to the left. You can see that small movement. Now what I don't want to do is slide too far over to the left, because from there, I will struggle to rotate out of the shot. But if I just give myself a very small weight shift to the left, that's going to ensure that I hit down slightly on the golf ball and I hit the ground just in front of the golf ball here. If my weight falls backwards and I unwind, I'm going to be hitting back here. So let's give that a go then. We want to be top of the swing, slight shift to the left, and rotate out with that nice extended finish. And there it is, lovely strike on the golf ball. Hit slightly down on it, and I just made impact with the ground after the golf ball as a result of that weight shift. Okay, so the final part of the golf swing is how you finish the swing, and this is after impact. A lot of people would think, what does it matter? It's after impact, but it actually means a lot, because if we see you finishing your golf swing sort of quite short with maybe your hands close, or you don't quite make it around to look like a pro, you probably haven't made the best impact of the ball. We also want to be really balanced in our follow through. So when I swing, I want to finish my full golf swing posted on my front foot closest to the target, and I want to be fully balanced. There is no situation I ever want to be leaning back to my right leg or my trail leg away from the field, and there is no situation where I want to be unbalanced, because if I'm unbalanced at the end of my swing, that means I've probably been unbalanced in my swing as well. So when we are following through, we also want to complement the rotation of the body that we spoke about in the earlier video, which is the downswing. And we want to complement that by having the arms really extended through. That's going to help you with power and consistency. If I pull my arms in tight as I'm coming through, there's a very strong possibility I'm going to hit the top of the golf ball, which we don't want. So if we give that a go now, I'm going to see what we spoke about earlier. From the top of the backswing, my weight's going to transfer forward. I'm going to keep my arms extended. And if at the end, no matter how good or bad the shot is, make myself look like a pro. So no matter what we do, always pretend it's a good shot. Let's see how it looks. Perfect, fully posted on the left leg. It was actually a pretty good shot. Give that a try at home. Remember, even if it's not a good shot, I want you to pretend it is and stay really balanced. Okay, so finally, we've watched all of those previous videos. We're doing everything right. We've got a good grip, a good backswing, and there's just something happening that we're not quite hitting the ball right. And that can all be down to your tempo or your swing speed. So you can see I've got an alignment cane in my hand rather than a golf club for this one. And the reason being is that we want to start listening and understanding where we're going to get the power in our swing. And a lot of people may swing nicely to the top and then very quick here, and they hear a little whip of the cane up there, but that's pointless energy. We're not really using that to hit the golf ball well. Alternatively, you may try and swing a little bit slower because somebody's told you to control your swing more, or somebody's told you to slow it down slightly to gain some accuracy, and you may be decelerating into the ball or maybe whipping the stick up past the ball here. What we're going to do with this is I want you to do a couple of practice swings where you're just feeling all of that speed and that whip happen between maybe 4 o'clock and 8 o'clock on a clock, because that's the most important part of the golf swing, the impact position. We spoke about impact previously, and that's where we want to be having most speed on the golf club. So tempo wise, we don't want to be slow. We don't want to swing slow because we're trying to hit this golf ball a long way, but we also don't want to be too aggressive and use that aggression in the wrong part of the swing. So one more time, we're going to swing up to the top, nice backswing, and then we're going to try and feel a nice committed rotation and tempo on the way down and get that whoosh noise past the golf ball in the correct place. So you can do all of those other elements we've spoken about, but you still need good tempo. So there you go, some quick and easy drills for you to do at home in the garden, on the driving range, or on the golf course. Don't forget to give American Golf and Trafford Golf Centre a follow on social media for more tips coming your way.